To the left of the sun, and higher up, there was a single star, big and bright. Those were the only two things to be seen in the dark sky. They made a dismal group, and on the earth, in every direction, as far as the eye could reach, there spread a vast city in which there was no living thing to be seen, and all the temples, towers, palaces, pyramids, and bridges cast long, disastrous-looking shadows in the light of the withered sun. Once a great river had flowed through the city, but the water had long since vanished, and it was now only a wide ditch of gray dust. "Look well on that which no eye will ever see again," said the queen. "Such was Chon, that great city, the city of the King of Kings, the wonder of the world, perhaps of all worlds. Does your uncle rule any city as great as this, boy?" "No," said David. He was going to explain that his uncle didn't rule any cities, but the queen went on. "It is silent now, but I have stood here when the whole air was full of the noises of Chon, the trampling of feet, the creaking of wheels, the cracking of the whips, and the groaning of slaves, the thunder of chariots, and the sacrificial drums beating in the temples. I have stood here when the roar of battle went up from every street and the river of Charn ran red." She paused and added, "All in one moment, one woman blotted it out forever." "Who?" said David in a faint voice, but he had already guessed the answer. "I," said the queen. "I, Jadis, the last queen, but the queen of the world." The two children stood silent, shivering in the cold wind. "It was my sister's fault," said the queen. "She drove me to it. May the curse of all the powers rest upon her forever. At any moment I was ready to make peace, yes, and to spare her life too, if only she would yield the throne to me. But she would not. Her pride has destroyed the whole world. Even after the war had begun, there was a solemn promise that neither side would use magic. But when she broke her promise, what could I do? Fool! As if she did not know that I had more magic than she. She even knew that I had the secret of the deplorable wood. Did she think she was always a weakling, that I would not use it?" "What was it?" said David. "That was the secret of secrets," said Queen Jadis. "It had long been known to the great kings of our race that there was a word which, if spoken with the proper ceremonies, would destroy all living things except the one who spoke it. But the ancient kings were weak and soft-hearted, and bound themselves and all who should come after them with a great oath never even to seek after the knowledge of that word. But I learned it in a secret place and paid a terrible price to learn it. I did not use it until she forced me to use it. I fought and fought to overcome her by every other means. I poured out the blood of my armies like water." "Beast," muttered McKenna. "The last great battle," said the queen, "raged for 3 days here in Charn itself. For 3 days I looked down in it from this very spot. I did not use my power till the last of my soldiers had fallen, and that accursed woman, my sister, at the head of her rebels, was halfway up those great stairs that led up from the city to the terrace. Then I waited till we were so close that we could see one another's faces. She flashed her horrible, wicked eyes upon me and said, 'Victory!' 'Yes,' said I, 'victory, but not yours.' Then I spoke the deplorable word. A moment later, I was the only living thing beneath the sun." "But the people," gasped David. "What people, boy?" asked the queen. "All the ordinary people," said McKenna, "who never done you any harm, and the women, and the children, and the animals." "Don't you understand?" said the queen, still speaking directly to David. "I was the queen. They were all my people. What else were they therefore, but to do my will. It was rather hard luck on them all the same, he said. I had forgotten that you're only a common boy. How should you understand reasons of state? You must learn, child, that what would be wrong for you or for any of the common people is not wrong in a great queen such as I. The weight of the world is on our shoulders. We must be freed from all rules. Ours is a high and lonely destiny. Didgeridoo suddenly remembered that his uncle had used those exact same words, but they sounded much grander when Queen Jadis said them, perhaps because his uncle was not 7 feet tall and dazzlingly beautiful. And what did you do then? Said David. I had already cast strong spells on the halls where the images of my ancestors sit. And the force of those spells was that I should sleep among them like an image myself, and need neither food nor fire, though it were 1,000 years till one came and struck that bell that awoke me. Was it the deplorable word that made the sun like that? Asked David. Like what? Said Jadis. So big, so red, and so cold. It has always been so, said Jadis, at least for hundreds of thousands of years. Have you a different sort of sun in your world? Yes, it's smaller and yellower, and it gives a good deal more heat. The queen gave a long drawn, ah, ah, and David saw on her face that same hungry and greedy look on which he had lately seen on his uncle's. So, she said, yours is a younger world.